even back then, as we have a look now at the next race and the start list for that with the women's pair.
So we're going to swap from the finish area where we are and go down 2,000 metres to the start line. We see that the Romanians, world best time, Olympic champions, Andrunaș Cizanu, 6:53. Nothing of that quality in this field, but certainly some good competition. And Monica Relf and Jacqueline Round, the British second boat, out there in lane 1. Next to them, the Russians, Zukachova and Podvozenskaya. And here we have the favourites, Louisa Reeve in the bow seat and Olivia Whitlam. They were 6th place in the Olympic final in Beijing. Next to them, the Italians, Moliner and Marascala. And then in lane 5, there are only 5 crews in this race, Marie Lenepveux and Stéphanie Deschamps from France.
Yeah, as you say, only 5 boats, a smaller field in this event, and they're sitting on the start there, getting ready to go. As we see again, the calm conditions, no need for those boots to hold the bows of the boat in place as they sit and wait for the starter to get them ready to go.
I always wondered what it'd be like to be a stake boat holder at the end of the start of those races.
Yeah, they always seem to be like they distracted you a little bit, didn't they? They're always having a bit of a chat with each other or throwing bottles at each other. But I think today they'll be taking their job quite seriously because it's finals day. So they've had a few days to practice and they look quite focused.
So it's the call over and we wait for the green light. And that looks like a good clean start from all 5 crews in this race. No one showing early on, particularly in the first stroke, but I guess we expect the Russians to lead out and the British crew to have a great battle with them. We're looking at the Italians there.
Yeah, short, stabby start as they get the boat away from the start there. Up there at 45.5 strokes per minute. We saw the blades going in slightly deep, but they seem to have got away. A nice shot there to check they've got the steering as accurate as they can. And it looks like all the boats have got away well, and the British again look like they're ahead in the field. As you say, Whitlam and Reeve, who competed at the Olympics last year, finishing in 6th place and want to start this year well.
Well, you know, they had a real battle in the race for lanes. Effectively, these 5 crews raced in this sort of echelon yesterday on the Saturday. And it was the British that won the Saturday final in a time of 7:27, but they had to row through the last 500 metres against Russia. So they will have had a word about that and probably said, you know, you need to get out, we need to get out earlier, we need to get out in front.
Yeah, but as you say, they're not getting it their own way, and it looks like we're going to be in for a good race. Always difficult to know on a race for lanes compared to the real racing today, which is where it's really at. And we can see them there still pounding away up at 36 strokes per minute before they've settled into their pace. And the Russian pair doing very well coming back at them.
Of course, the British women have got to double up in the 8 later on in this regatta. So
yeah, absolutely. These 2 British girls wearing 5 and 6 in the British 8, so I think they'll want to make their mark in the pair because the 8's field is very light. So I think this is going to be the big race for them today. But it looks to me like the Russians settled into a good pace and are putting pressure on them at a lower stroke rate.
Through the first 500 metres, and Russia just edging into the lead, 1:49.
Yeah, these 2 Russians rode at the under-23s together, moving up to senior level now. We see both boats stroke for stroke at 34 strokes per minute. And to me, they look like they're getting good length and good connection there in the Russian pair.
Yeah, just a good result last year as well, and the Europeans that held in the Olympic course in Athens at Chinias, the Russian pair took the silver medal in that event. So they've moved up a step there. They're a quality pair. But this British pair, 6th place in the Olympics, and I was talking to Olivia Whitlam, and she said they've really moved on this winter. I mean, they won the British trials. She says she thinks they're rowing better, they're longer, round the pin at both ends. And just, you know, I don't know if you can see that from there, but she feels they're a more mature combination than the one that raced in the Olympics in Beijing.
Yeah, well, as the Olympics being held in London in 2012 is providing a big focus for all of the British team. They really want to be there and they want to be performing at their very best there. So it's going to give them that extra focus, I think.
Italians rating a much higher stroke.
Yeah, much higher, 39 there.
They're typically Italian. The way that style, they row it and just whack.
You can see it on the blade, so they've got an easier gearing with the buttons pushed much further out, so there's more handle, so effectively they can get more strokes in per minute, although they're not going to move the boat so far per stroke. As you said, we could see the British really coming around the pin, but this is continuing to be a great race we've got here between the two boats up at the front.
It is. There are just two boats in it actually on there. And, the Italians, actually from the stroke woman of the Italian boat, Enrica Marasca, she's come out of the lightweight women's quadruple scull, so she's really converted to rowing as they go through 1,000 metres. And it's just neck and neck. We've got Great Britain just 1/100th of a second on our times up on the crew from Russia. Britain threw in 3:41.72. Not going to trouble the world record time, but
as you say, it is neck and neck, and it looked to me like we saw pain etched on Olivia's face, and whether they're actually looking to make a little bit of a move here through the 1,000 metre mark's often a good time to put in an effort and try and make the special move.
That's an interesting shot there we can see of the French pair, just a little snaky, that boat that they're using, that Filippi Italian boat. It just seems to be.
It doesn't look like it runs quite straight every stroke off the finish, does it? There's a little tweak on it there, and almost, well, maybe they're crabbing their way down the lane a little bit.
Stephanie Deschamps, the stroke woman we're looking at there, as we go back, and they have made a little move, haven't they?
Yeah, the Brits, they have moved on from the second 1,000. This is always the time when it's good to make an effort, isn't it? The third 500, when everyone's going to be in a bit of pain, and if you can take it, and as you say, if you've trained well in the winter, then you can trust that training and look to make the move now. And it looks like the British are still able to do that. Let's have a look at their length. They're still getting it right out around the pin, aren't they? You can see Olivia closing the angle there between her body and her leg. That outside shoulder coming around, I'm not sure if I like that too much, but she's getting length for it.
Well, I'll tell you what, looking at the connection of Louisa Reeve in the bow seat there, she's really getting hold of the water where the blade goes in. I mean, I do think that's probably the improvement that they're most pleased with over this winter since the Beijing Olympics.
Well, that's going to make the difference, isn't it? We all know that it's not how many strokes you get in, as we saw from the Italians there. It's how effective they are and how well connected up they are.
So Britain has pulled out. That's quite a significant 500 metres, 1.59 seconds on the Russian pair. And unless we have an upset in this event, we are going to see Britain win it. They did row through the last 500 metres yesterday in the race for lanes, but they're taken out to almost the length now. Yeah,
they're looking for that bit of clear water. They've upped the stroke rate slightly. We've got 35.5 strokes per minute, and if they can maintain that connection, maintain that good stroke pattern while the rate comes up, then I think we will see them squeeze away from the Russians, who've done well to hold in there through the middle, but look like they don't have an awful lot to respond with right now.
I mean, it is a step up, isn't it, from the European Championships or under 23s to this level at World Cup. You know, you come up against a pair who's been in the Olympic final.
Absolutely. The British pair, a seasoned pair, raced to the Olympic Games, obviously made their plans. They're going to go through this season, probably looking towards 2012, and now they're taking it on a level, so it's going to be tough for the Russians to do that. They'll be getting good experience today as the crews hit the red buoys.
I do like that catch there out from Louisa Reeve. I think she's really locking it well in the bows. We don't quite have such a good view of Olivia Whitlam, the stroke woman with the cap. Now she's locking, but as they come in front of us now with, what about 200 metres left to go, they've got clear water.
They look like they've just got that clear water there, haven't they? It's always difficult slightly with these angles, and I think there's only just clear water, and the Russians are trying to respond. But they haven't got an awful lot to give, have they? They haven't got a lot to go up. Both crews at 35 strokes a minute. And the British will be pleased with this in front of a good support for the British team. Just see Louisa having a look around for the finish line. They're in the red buoys, but she wants to know how many strokes there are left.
It's the British pair as they come up to the finish line to take the first World Cup title of 2009, 7:27 ahead of Russia. They were really made to work for it in that third 500 metres and possibly suffered a bit in the last 500 as Kucherova and Podbenskaya from Russia came back at them. But yeah, they've worked, haven't they?
They've worked hard, and look, they're doing this turn the boat around quickly and get paddling off exercise, which I do quite like to see. If they're doubling up later in the 8, we want to see that they're fresh enough they can turn their boat away, and probably lead the way towards the towards the raft to get drinks and recover.